Greetings, brothers and sisters. Just want to do a quick voiceover, then get into some video clips and things, some funny stuff. The whole thing's working out good with the transition to making shorter videos on my other channel because today's Monday, October 2nd, so I'm already starting my video for tomorrow. Today, I want to take advantage of as much nice weather as possible because we have some projects left over, so I want to get outside while it's still nice out and do farm work, so everything's going in a positive direction. Just got a 5-hour video I'm uploading, kind of a very one of the big videos in the Journey series, at least in terms of the Heartfulness organization. But I had two things I want to say. One's a continuation. They're both kind of continuation from a video I made where I talked about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and this fake relationship. And Valerie Bertinelli was saying, you negative Nellies, was something like that, should be quiet and let us enjoy this wonderful love story. And so the first thing I want to say is one thing that you can say for sure about the controllers, one thing is facts, is that everything that they give to you, whether it be the food that is toxic for your system or the content which is dumbed down. I covered Little Tay in my other video today on my Apocalypse Now channel, all this dumbed down content, and the Taylor Swift thing is for dumb people, right? Smart people isn't. The Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce relationship isn't for smart people, right? Like, you think about all the TV and all the content that's out there and all the foods, the Wi-Fi, everything that they're doing in the atmosphere, all the things that are affecting people in a direction to make you weak, make you stupid, make you disconnected from your family. I mean, all the things that have happened. The things that have happened are a part of a plan. They're not something that just randomly happened as side effects. Your cell phones, all the things, losing vocabulary words, hemorrhaging vocabulary words, and just dumbing people down, idiocracy. They're driving people to be like this. They want people who are stupid. They want people who are weak. They want people who are pacified. They don't necessarily even want people who are good workers, right? They want people who are easy to control. That's the main outcome of what we see. That's 100% the product that's happening. Everybody's weaker than they would be without all of these things. Now, what they would like you to think is it's all profit-driven, and that's a side effect. You being, your kids being addicted to the internet and spending all their time in the cyber world is a side effect to this technological growth and profit-centered, profit-driven economy. But really, it's the profit is a side effect. Of course, it's profitable, but they want people to be the way that people are now. And each generation gets worse and gets easier to control and more dependent and more helpless on the beast. The second thing was something I was talking about in my video. I knew I was going to do this voiceover in my video today, so I decided to do the voiceover here. But I was talking about all the views I've gotten on my two channels. So the one channel I've got 113.8 million views, so 114 million views basically. And then on the other channel, it's 4.7, and so that's like 4.5, so like, basically 118.5 million views. People have clicked on my videos. And then there's a lot of videos I deleted. I'm not sure if the privatized ones count. I think they do, but there are a lot of videos, millions. So some had millions of views themselves. A lot of them were bigger videos. And then all the videos that were deleted, so that's probably another 5 to 10 million views or whatever. And you think about that, like my small channel, and I had some videos that got lots of views in the beginning, but now it's just putting out a lot of content. And if you think about, well, there are some people who watched all of my videos, and the total amount of videos I've made is probably between 3,000 and 5,000. There's some people who've watched, not all of my videos, but have watched my videos from so many years back, the last 5 years, and watched most of them. And so they might account for, some millions of views, like the regular viewers, people who watch a lot of my content. And let's say they account for 20 million views. Well, that's still 100 million views of people who came and left and didn't want to stay. And I don't care because, it's they don't want to listen to me. I don't want to listen to them. So I'm not going to be bummed, if they don't want to listen to me because, I mean, if they're not entertained and they're not into it, I don't want them to be here. But, the retention rate here is pretty dismal, in terms of my ability to get people to stay and watch videos. And, there's lots of stupid people out there. There's lots of undesirable people. Some of those people came because it was a celebrity video and they have no idea, wouldn't understand. Some of them are younger people, in their 20s or whatever. People who just, this isn't for them. But, there's a very low retention rate of people who want to stay and listen to my content. Of course, there's lots of different things available to people. Lots of truthers, lots of, different YouTube channels. So there's lots of choices. But, there's, out of all that, I have maybe between 5,000 and 20,000 people who are still regular viewers. Maybe don't watch all the content, but they're interested in seeing more. And, again, I put out a lot of content. That's also some of the issues. But I was thinking about this because I was talking about this in my other video about more people doesn't make it better. Now, I would make more money, which would be a good thing if I had more viewers or more regular viewers, if I could reach a bigger audience, and I would have influence in terms of there would be more people who would do the Saj Marg, do the Gratefullness meditation that we're doing, and that would be positive for them and me and the world. And so that would be a good thing too. But in terms of if there's 1 million people watching a video or 1 or 2, it's not that much of a difference. Once you get above 1,000, 1,000 to 1 million or, 1 billion, it's not much of a difference, right? There's more comments, but as far as I know, there's no real way I could even tell that it's more people watching it. Once I've made the video and put it up, it's only the amount of comments that I see, and some videos are going to generate more comments than others. And as far as I know, there's I'm not there watching people watch my videos, so I don't even know if people are actually watching them, how long they watch them. People will make comments about something that they said, they'll quote me or something, and I'll know that was toward the end of the video or whatever. So, I mean, some people are going to watch the whole video, but, that's, most people aren't. But I'm saying all this is because people want thumbs up and they want validation and they want more and more and more. And, more is not necessarily good or better or even something that you even notice. I mean, more would be in terms of money, and everything else is just random numbers that really don't mean anything, right? If you get so many likes, you get so many views, you get so many subscribers. I mean, none of that really matters. The numbers are only based in how it makes you feel. The numbers themselves aren't significant to you in any other way. And, I'm saying this because people are looking for social media validation, like how many likes they get, how many people view their stuff, how many thumbs up they get, how many views. I mean, if there's no financial benefit for you, the numbers are irrelevant, right? And people who agree with you are going to be limited. Like, you think it's a lot. You might get 100,000 likes, but the majority of people dislike your opinion, your belief system. I mean, that's how divisive the world is, that most people wouldn't agree with something. Like, if you talked long enough to somebody, they would find a way to be offended. Like, people get offended at the drop of a hat now. Another sign of weakness, right? Because it's egos that get offended. You can have your heart hurt and feelings hurt. That's something different. But that takes some intimacy and some relationship with a person where they actually hurt your heart. And, sometimes that's even a positive thing because, I mean, pain like that is often helps you on your spiritual journey. But that's real pain. That's real. That's something that's real. Anything that has to do with your ego is just an illusionary, someone being offended because their egos get bruised. I mean, your egos are there egos are the problem. Right? Egos are everybody's problem. Ego's what makes all the problems in the world and creates the problems that each of us have individually. And maybe in the beginning when my channel kind of took off and people started watching my videos, that meant something to me, whatever kind of success that's considered. But now it's the quality of my videos that's important. Like I have to feel good about the quality of my videos. Are there things that are insightful? Are there things that are funny? Are there things that are, that I say, yeah, this is a good video. Like, and I have I don't say picky, but I have high standards when it comes to all this, right? Not just YouTube videos, but any of this stuff. I mean, I can be, I can watch something stupid, or I can watch something that's not well done if it has some quality information in it. But in terms of, what I consider a good video, it's, I think I have a higher standard. Not so much in the technical aspects of it, but in what's, what the energy's like, what the, the points are and all these things, how clean it is. And so, like, that's something everybody should think about, because so much is driven by external validation. People think that the external validation is so important, but do you really want the approval of the average person? I mean, would you really like the average person to say, oh, wow, you really get it? Because that would mean that, like you're on their level. Like if they shouldn't be able to perceive your ability to express things because they're so oblivious. Like Valerie Bertinelli saying, all you negative Nellies or whatever it was are ruining my Kelsey Taylor Swift moment. Like it's like that's where people are. I mean, you can check out that video. It's just brutal. Like her, her ability or her inability to accept that this is a fake relationship, and is mad at anybody that tells her the truth. And that's why the truthers have so many problems, because the majority of people, they don't want to hear what, anything that contradicts the official story, because they can't deal with it. Anyways, let me get into the other stuff here. Okay, let's start here with Jennifer J. Psaki.
Of all the lies that Donald Trump has told during his time in public life.
And you know what? You guys should combine with CNN, because they've been counting his lies in gumballs. Look into that, Psaki.
There have been many. None have been more prolific and more flagrant.
Okay, so flagrant. She's so self-conscious, right? She sucks at her job. Now, she was Biden's press secretary, and I don't know how well she did that job, but I think she was less robotic, right? Now, I'm talking about just job performance here, because there's so many people that suck at their job on TV and other places, in the media and in public life. Like, they're just not good at their jobs, but they have their jobs anyway. Like, they reward for sucking. They reward for pasucking. She's so stiff. She's so self-conscious. She's not in the flow. Her vocal intonations and these other things. When you're speaking in front of a camera and you're reading, you can be very good at it. You can be very natural, but most people aren't, and she's not. Like Ari Melber, who was drooling all over Taylor Swift as a political player or whatever in my last video, he's at least good at doing this thing, right? There are some people who are better than others, but she sucks. But they just promoted her. Like, that shows you what's going on at MSNBC.
Than his lies about his personal wealth. It has been the core of not only how he presented himself in the New York business world, but a core of how he has run for president multiple times. Trump has long portrayed himself as a self-made billionaire, a guy who supposedly started out with virtually nothing and became the flashy owner of a sprawling real estate empire, a guy whose wealth was apparently so vast he could leverage concessions with...
Like, who's watching this and going, wow, this is amazing, right? Show me the people that are watching this and going, wow, this is blowing me away. I mean, haven't they heard everything negative they possibly could about Trump? Is there people going, wow, let's check in and see what's going on with Donald Trump? We haven't heard how crappy Donald Trump is today. Like, who's watching this?
From contractors, banks, and insurers, and a guy with enough bravado and swagger to plaster his name on buildings and land himself his very own reality TV show. All of that made up the brand that has long been central to...
The brand! Listen to what she says. The brand!
The brand that is...
The brand! She made up the brand!
All of that made up the brand that has long been central to Trump's public identity. It fed the presumption of great wealth and success, but it was all built on a myth.
It's a myth.
First of all, we've learned that Trump originally lied his way onto the Forbes annual list of America's richest people back in the 1980s, which is a very weird thing to do. We learned...
Not really. I think lots of people would want to lie their way onto the list of some of the richest people.
That his net worth was greatly overstated and that the value of the Trump brand was probably just a fraction of what he claimed it was. And it's well documented that he was hardly a self-made billionaire. He got his wealth from his father.
His dad gave him some wealth.
Despite those revelations, Trump's self-made myth hasn't posed much of a risk to his livelihood or to his fortune. By and large, he's gotten away with it.
He has. He's gotten away with it. She's just so stiff. It's uncomfortable watching her. Like, they should have done like an audition and say, all right, you're not good at this. Like, you should be working at some local TV station in, Des Moines, Iowa or something, like someplace, and work your way up. And then when you start getting comfortable in front of the camera, give us a call. But they went right from lying for Jojo Magoo to lying for the CIA here at MSNBC.
In fact, Trump has long portrayed his lies as relatively minor exaggerations. Something he once referred to as truthful hyperbole, just an innocent form of self-promotion. That's all it is. But this week, a judge in New York had another name for all of it: fraud.
Fraud.
Trump wasn't just lying about his wealth to brandish his image. He was lying on official documents as well, inflating the value of his assets to banks and insurance companies and exaggerating his net worth by billions of dollars.
So this is something that's really going to bother Trump more than anything else. He sued a guy for claiming he wasn't a billionaire, and he lost. The guy proved he wasn't a billionaire in court. But Trump doesn't like it. Trump doesn't want to be exposed as being worth less than he claims, right? He doesn't want to be undervalued. So this is really going to bother him. This more than any other thing, the criminal stuff, all the other things. This is what's going to eat away at him.
And you don't need to be an accountant, I'm certainly not, to understand how ridiculous Trump's claims were. For example, according to the lawsuit, Trump's financial form showed that in just 4 years, the value of his apartment in Trump Tower had just magically increased by 400%. Magically. All right. Don't quit your day job, Jen.
Have you been directed to separate parents from children as a method of deterrence of undocumented immigration?
I have not been directed to do that for purposes of deterrence, no.
This administration did not create a policy of separating families at the border.
That was President Trump's Homeland Security Secretary, Kirstjen Nielsen.
Something tells me she lied.
In 2018, giving the official line on family separations. And she said it over and over. As Border Patrol separated thousands of families who crossed the southern border into the United States at the direction of the Trump administration, Secretary Nielsen said to the House, to the Senate, to a room full of White House reporters, no, there is no policy of separating families.
They got her. They got her. She lied about this. This is unbelievable. And it's going to add up to absolutely zero. Again, who's watching this going, wow, this is riveting? Oh, she lied about that? Oh, that's riveting. I'm so upset.
New York City, where just moments ago, Senator Bob Menendez, along with his wife Nadine and two co-defendants, pled not guilty to a 3-count indictment alleging the couple was part of a bribery scheme. Joining us now with more is MSNBC anchor Lindsay Reiser outside the courthouse. Lindsay, what's the very latest?
They lied, they cheated, and they got caught, and now they're lying again.
Well, Jose, as you mentioned today, Senator Bob Menendez and his wife pleading not guilty to the charges that they are accused of. The two co-defendants also pleading not guilty. A third New Jersey businessman pleaded not guilty yesterday. The hearing is still underway.
I'm holding hands.
The judge right now still giving some of her orders, but I can tell you right now some of the conditions for the release of Senator Bob Menendez. He has a $100,000 bond. He has to surrender his personal.
Okay, so we know that happened. Just everything, like the guy with the pulling the fire alarm and all this stuff, right? Hunter Biden. Speaking of Hunter Biden.
Have
past the hour, the Republican-led House Oversight Committee today will hold its first impeachment hearing on President Biden. And yesterday, the House Ways and Means Committee voted along party lines to release 700 pages of documents from IRS whistleblowers regarding Hunter Biden's business dealings. Republican Committee Chair Jason Smith of Missouri pointed to a June 6, 2017 WhatsApp message in which Hunter Biden wrote to a business associate that he was not willing to, quote, sign over my family's brand. Smith cited the message as, quote, evidence of corruption and misconduct. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles followed up on that, seeking clarification and explanation about the timing of that message leading to this exchange with the Republican congressman.
Is their position here, of course, is Hunter Biden's innocent, right? That's what they're trying to sell their viewers.
And then the WhatsApp message you have, I believe, is dated June 6, 2017. Joe Biden is not vice president or even a candidate for president at that time. So where is the direct connection to some sort of criminal malfeasance within these two pieces of evidence?
Well, I think the facts speak for themselves. There's over 700 pages of examples of where people should be very concerned.
Can you explain the timing then of the August 6th WhatsApp message? Why is that evidence of some wrongdoing?
I'm not an expert on the timeline. I would love to have President Biden and his family to tell us about all the timelines, because it's really, really...
It's really, really what, dude? What's this guy?
Unfortunate.
Jason Smith, Missouri.
We see so many meetings and so many phone calls that involved around official activity that the vice president has been participating in, and then big sums of money follows later.
But if he's not the president or the vice president at that time, where's the wrongdoing? He wasn't even a candidate for president at that time.
He was a candidate.
In August 6th of 2017?
Apparently, what source are you with?
I'm with NBC.
So apparently you'll never believe us.
I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm asking you a very direct question. You presented a piece of evidence.
So they're going for one piece of evidence based on the date. They're saying that he wasn't buying influence, but Joe Biden still was connected. He wasn't president or vice president, but he's still connected. He's still a player. He's not as valuable as, more valuable when he's president or vice president. This guy is unable to pivot or answer the questions. But they provide 700 documents, and also involving the amount of money the Biden family has gotten. I mean, Hunter Biden's a crackhead. He was smoking crack. He admitted to smoking crack during a time where he was paid millions upon millions of dollars by foreign companies to smoke crack. And then he became an artist, and he sold millions of dollars of paintings again. This is all criminal activity. If it was a Republican, they'd be all over this, right? It's silly.
That you say came on August 6, 2017, that demonstrates that Joe Biden was using political influence to help his son. If he wasn't a political figure at that time, the first WhatsApp message you put up, where you talk about the brand, and I'm completely open-minded about this. I'm asking you.
Then did you find nothing in the 700 pages other than this one discrepancy? What else did you find there? This is them finding one little thing to go after, right? So they can cover it on these shows, and people can watch it and go, wow, that doesn't make any sense. He wasn't president at that time. Tell me what to think, Mika.
You specifically, how does that demonstrate that there's some sort of political influence being put over him if at that time he's not an elected official?
I'm definitely not going to pinpoint one item. I think we've outlined...
You presented it. It was your first thing that you brought up.
So apparently you don't agree with it. So
it's not that I don't agree with it. I'm asking you to explain it.
I'll take the next question.
And the man you just heard running circles around that member of Congress, NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles, joins us now.
You're a piece of crap, Ryan.
Live. Ryan, good morning.
You're not noble, Ryan.
So tell us about the backstory of this WhatsApp message, because you were clearly just asking a fact-based question that the
guy has a laptop full of incriminating material. He's a crackhead, and he was paid millions of dollars to smoke crack. The Bidens have millions of dollars, 3 or 4 different houses, which he wouldn't have gotten based in his pay as a senator and then as a vice president. He lives a lavish lifestyle. And all of these things came because he's corrupt. His son is corrupt. It's a Biden crime family. Trump also made a lot of money. They all do this, all these politicians. And the evidence is there. Like, just that is alone, like, where do you get the money from? Like, you can just see, you know, this is how the IRS bags people. They know how much income you have, right? And so if you're making $60,000 a year, or in Biden's case, $150,000 a year, and you have 5 homes worth, you know, $20 million, right? And all these other assets, they go, where did all this stuff come from? It didn't come from your pay. Where did it come from? Well, you were corrupt, right? This is how, you know, they have to funnel the money into the family in different ways. And one of the ways was give Hunter Biden jobs that he didn't deserve. Remember, Biden withheld $1 billion to Ukraine unless they fired a prosecutor who now says he was fired because he's going to go after the company that Hunter Biden represented. And so you never covered that. You guys didn't cover the laptop. You didn't cover his crackhead, the cover-up of the laptop, the criminal behavior that this guy's exhibited. And you found one little item, and you're going to work some dopey guy who can't talk his way out of a paper bag, right? And you're going to make it like Hunter Biden's innocent. Like, this is how they're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Member of Congress had not considered the date that Joe Biden held no power at the time of that message. So just for our viewers, what is the story? What is the backstory?
Well, Willie, I've been particularly obsessed with this idea of timeline when it comes to the information and the evidence that the Oversight, Ways and Means and Judiciary Committee has put out as it relates to Hunter Biden, because over time and time again, they keep attempting to establish this connection between Joe Biden and his son. And a lot of the information that they presented comes during that period of time where Joe Biden is not the president or vice president of the United States. He's not the president of the United States. And it
was Joe Biden. Like, he didn't have a position, but he was a power player in the, you know, he could have been a lobbyist or any number of things, right? He has connections to all those people. I mean, it isn't like he was powerless at that time. But these are other things that were established over a long period of time. When he was vice president, Hunter Biden had the job with Ukraine. And then the stuff to do with him being president. Also, companies buying him so that he would become president, right? China saying, all right, we want to back this guy. And then all of a sudden they pushed his nomination through because he's owned by powerful people, right? So this is another aspect of it. Like, you know, it's just, I mean, these guys just suck so bad. Let's see if there's any. Let's go to the end of this thing.
Things that this impeachment inquiry is going to do is that they're going to collect bank records from many of the Biden family associates, James Biden, the president's brother, and Hunter Biden. Perhaps there is where we're going to be able to find that smoking gun piece of evidence. If there's a bank transfer that goes.
He had a smoking gun that he left in a trash can that his brother's widow he was banging left in a trash can because she thought he was going to commit suicide. Like, this is, I mean, the story is there, right? Like, it's there, they just don't want to tell it. Like, it's painful watching them try to figure out ways not to report this thing. Kim Kardashian faces more furious backlash as a video of her bashing sister Khloe's wedding to Lamar resurfaces amid uproar over her bitter spat with Kourtney. She's a hater. This is just, I don't know if I want to get into this. One of my viewers sent me this. We know that Kourtney's the big one. And, I mean, Khloe's the big one. Kourtney's the one that they gang up on.
I just, don't know. 3 weeks after meeting someone, I really don't know if this is such a good idea.
Okay, Kim, we get it. That's how you feel, but it's going to happen next week, and that's it.
I mean, I know.
And it has nothing to do with you.
But I don't want it to be the whole time, Kim's jealous of the wedding. Because I'm really not. He's so tall, I can't even.
The stupidity, right? Remember what I said in the beginning? Is this for smart people? How many smart people could sit through this show?
What does he have to do with anything?
I'm saying I'm not jealous.
I understand that Kim and Reggie broke up, and, I am dealing with my situation with my ex-girlfriend, Adrian, and you don't see me bashing on...
Adrian's a boy's name.
...on Khloe and Lamar's wedding at all. It's really rude to say that about Khloe. She's marrying this guy.
He's tall?
Yeah, you said you wouldn't want to be married to that guy anyway because he's tall. Who gives a...
You're a fan.
She was married to a guy who was actually taller, right? She married a basketball player. Forget the guy's name. Chris something Humphreys maybe, and he was a center, and Lamar Odom was basically the same height. But Chris Humphreys was even bigger, right? He was a bigger guy.
Yeah. You take things too far. This is what I'm saying.
It's reality. Deal with it.
Why do you have to be so mean? He's
What
just
have I done?
immature. Yeah, actually, you do. You are being
Scream about it. Scream about it.
Rob's definitely the prize of that family. Okay, there's one more thing I want to show you here, and then I'm gonna do a experiment with the transmission for people to experiment with the transmission, which I've already done. I just got to add to the video after this one when I'm editing. But this is from this guy. Thing 1 and thing 2. So he's taking a Dr. Zeus. They all have their little bits, and their little bits suck. But they have Trump, a younger Trump, and Pete Buttigieg. This is going to be awesome.
Thing 1 tonight, among the many differences between President Donald Trump and one of his potential Democratic challengers, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, is that one of these men served in the military and the other did not. Can you guess which one served at... No, obviously, it's Buttigieg.
Okay, he's not some... We know this guy. I mean, whatever he did, he's not great at it, right?
Spent 8 years in the Navy Reserves, including a deployment in Afghanistan for a 7-month tour in 2014.
So he was part of that debacle in Afghanistan and ruining the country of Afghanistan. Way to go, Buttigieg.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, infamously dodged the draft during the Vietnam War.
Look at Trump's. Look at the young Trump there.
With a sketchy diagnosis of bone spurs in his heels from a Queens podiatrist.
Sketchy. He didn't really have it.
According to the New York Times.
He was quite the basketball player.
That doctor rented office space in one of Fred Trump's buildings and diagnosed the younger Trump as a favor to the man who gave him a break on his rent increases. Today, Pete Buttigieg offered an opinion on that whole thing you don't want to miss. And that...
I do, but I'm going to make fun of it so I don't.
This thing 2 in 60 seconds.
Thing 1.
Mayor Pete Buttigieg gave...
Thing 2.
Gave an interview today to the Washington Post Live, and when Robert Costa asked him if he's ready for President Trump's attacks, should the two ever meet on a debate stage, his answer is worth hearing in full.
Okay, so that's why I thought this was present, because it's going to say in the back of the stage that this is a candidate from 2020, a presidential candidate. The Washington Post is interviewing for some bizarre reason. And so I thought they took an old video of him doing a town hall, but this is him now. You'll hear me say this later, so just to avoid confusion. But they're putting this out there because they don't want Kamala or Biden. Like they're rolling out Buttigieg on the Washington Post and now on MSNBC and framing him as a potential presidential candidate because they know Jojo Magoo's not going to make it and they don't want Kamala. So this is a shot at them. I'll talk about that more as we move forward. But when I heard this, I said, oh, this is recent. But then it says 2020 on the stage. I got confused later on in the piece here. But this is them just, well, you'll see it as it goes along here.
So, look, I don't have a problem standing up to somebody who was, working on season 7.
He looks like a creature. He looks like a Who. Like he's got the face of one of those, the Who's from Whoville. He looks like a Dr. Zeus creature.
Celebrity apprentice when I was packing my bags for Afghanistan. But at the end of the day, it's not about him. Do you have a question? Do you think he should have served?
He wanted to make sure everyone knows that he was in Afghanistan. He was a part of that debacle when Trump was dodging the draft.
Served in Vietnam? Well, I have a pretty dim view of his decision to use his privileged status to fake a disability in order.
So this is the guy they're putting out there because, he... Buttigieg sucks, and he is, for lots of reasons. But he, he ran and he was fairly successful in Iowa and New Hampshire. Then he ran out of money, so he was getting some, some support and some love when he first ran. He was a young, mayor of the city of Notre Dame, or is it whatever it was. He was a young mayor, so there was no chance of him winning. He didn't have financial backing. But he won either New Hampshire or Iowa, and he came in second in the other one. And then he was broke. He had no money, and he had no way of moving forward. So he made a deal to withdraw so Biden could beat Bernie Sanders when they were rigging against Bernie Sanders. And he gave them the, transportation secretary or something like that. So then he had a federal position, and so they're grooming him for some future run. And he did pretty well in his first run as president, much better than Kamala. Kamala had to drop out. Like he outlasted Kamala, and he actually won a primary. And so came second in the other one. So, he was performing pretty well. People liked him better. Biden finished 4th and 5th in New Hampshire and Iowa, those first 2 primaries. That's why Biden's trying to get rid of those. Because people don't like Biden either. Like, he's got some small support for his time as VP from Obama. But he really doesn't have people who love him. Like, he's just, he's Jojo Magoo. And so if Kamala goes, and Gavin Newsom, who seemed like the best alternative, said he's not going to run because it's Kamala's turn. But if Biden goes, then, what are they going to do with Kamala? And she sucks. She's unelectable. So now they're putting this guy out like he possibly might be running against Trump. Like, they know that Jojo Magoo is whatever he is, right? But this guy is like just an insider. He's the worst of the worst in terms of a liberal that, a part of the woke mob.
In order to avoid serving in Vietnam.
You believe he faked a disability?
Do you believe he has a disability? Yeah. Yeah. At least not that one.
Make fun of the disabled.
No, I don't mean to.
Woo!
No, this is actually really important because I don't mean to trivialize disability, but I think that's exactly what he did.
Why are they interviewing this guy in a format like this? Like, it's a town hall. This is what they're doing with a candidate, right? And so they're grooming Buttigieg. Like, Buttigieg seems like a logical replacement for Biden and Harris because Kamala ain't going to win anything, right? Kamala sucks. And so this is their guy.
I mean, when you think about the way somebody can exploit the system, and needless to say, the way he has treated and mocked disabled people is just one more example.
The way you just did, when you were saying, he has a disability, just a mental one, and everybody giggled, the way you just did a second ago?
Of the many affronts to just basic decency that this president has inflicted on this country. But manipulating the ability to get a diagnosis. I mean, if you were a conscientious objector, I'd admire that.
Yeah, because you go to jail, right? But there was a bogus war. Acknowledge that the Vietnam was a bogus war, and soldiers came back from that, and many of them are still suffering. Many of them died young. Many of them committed suicide. Many of them were exposed to Agent Orange and suffered physical liabilities. I mean, all these things. Vietnam was a fake, not a real war against a communist country that was there for the military-industrial complex and also to export opium. They were growing opium fields, poppy fields. My brother was Vietnam. He guarded the poppy fields for the CIA. This guy's a CIA guy. This guy is a CIA creation, right? This whole, whatever he did in Afghanistan, he's probably one of those. He's like Obama, one of these CIA grooms. He's part of the. He's gay. He's got these. He's got a liberal bio, right? He fits the modern, young woke culture, and he's served in a war, which is a good thing for. He served as a military person. That's like this is they create a profile for this guy, the CIA, like he's a CIA shill. He's one of their guys, and this is like textbook stuff. And acknowledge that the Vietnam War, all the people that went there were taken advantage of. All the soldiers that went there were taken advantage of by the military-industrial complex. So Trump lying to get out of that, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I'm not a pro-military person, but, this was a draft that was a disaster for the military, the whole draft thing. And so many young men who died or lives were ruined because of being drafted. Trump was whatever he was, and he's a liar, and he's got other problems that go along with this. But admit that these wars were all bogus. The one you fought in destroyed Afghanistan. Vietnam was crippled by the American invasion, and it was a waste. These wars shouldn't have happened, right? They were illegal, immoral wars.
But this is somebody who, I think it's fairly obvious to most of us, took advantage of the fact that he was the child of a multimillionaire in order to pretend to be disabled so that somebody could go to war in his place. And I know that that dredges up old wounds from a complicated time during a complicated war. But I'm also old enough to remember when conservatives talked about character as something that mattered in the
Okay, so you're Joe Biden. You endorse Joe Biden. You're in the Biden administration with his crackhead son, the epitome of a poor character. I mean, like, yeah, Trump has poor character. You have poor character. And Biden has poor. You all guys, all the media, all you guys do. You guys all have poor characters. You're disingenuous. You're not real people. And you're bad people inside. What's inside you is bad. And, it can be cleansed. Everyone has a soul, which I talk about, but, that's unlikely to happen for any of you, right?
Presidency. Woo! And so I think it deserves to be talked about.
Okay, so this is a Washington Post 2020 candidates. This is, I guess this was when he was running back then. And now they're showing this now. Like MSNBC is putting this out there because this guy is going to be somebody who's potentially going to run for president. They are bringing this guy back up, at least on MSNBC, because they're seeing that Jojo Magoo isn't going to make it. And they don't want Kamala. Like, this is a shot at Kamala more than anything else. This isn't a shot at Trump, because they're bringing this back up because he's not going to do this kind of thing now as transportation secretary. I just noticed the date on it. They did this back in 2020 as a way to, maybe I didn't pay attention to what the guy was saying. I was too busy mocking him. But, they're bringing this up for a reason, because they want Buttigieg. Like, Buttigieg is somebody they're floating out there. Like, the other candidates they have are horrible. We saw in the first, now with RFK Jr. Becoming an independent who could easily get 30 to 40% of the vote. RFK could win. And Biden might not make it. Like, who knows what he's going to do on the debate stage. They might have to replace him late. And everyone knows, like, he's a ticking time bomb of, just a disastrous candidacy. No one knows what's going to happen with Trump. And so in terms of his legal issues. And so the debate stage, all these things are going to be interesting. In terms of the show, this is great. Like, we never see anything like this. There's a legitimate third-party candidate now that has a chance of winning and who talks about things at least like a truther. He knows the truther stuff. And he's got a lot of truther rhetoric, and it's part of his platform. And so, there's as best as you're going to get as a legitimate candidate that could win who has truther tendencies, that's as good as you're going to get in terms of truther stuff. And then you have Trump, who's the wild card of all wild cards because he's got 4 pending felony cases against him and another civil lawsuit, all these things, right? All this stuff. I mean, it's kind of great. And then you have Biden, who's collapsing physically and mentally. And then you have the person that will replace him is the most unlikable and unelectable person who's even like worse than Hillary. Somehow she's worse than Hillary. And then who do you have? Well, they want this guy here. At least MSNBC is floating this guy out there because, he potentially might run against Trump now, and they know it. Okay, so this is going to be an experiment for people to get a sample of the experience of the Pranahuti, the transmission that's given in the Sajmarg Gratefullness meditation. So I'm going to put this experiment in at least 3 different videos today. Today's Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. And I am going to put this in the Journey Series, 123rd edition of Journey Series, towards the beginning of the video. I've already done one voiceover, but I'll put this in right after that. It also is going to be in a video today on my Pockets of the Future channel, which I'm not sure the name of the video will be, but it'll be today's video. And then I'll put it in a separate standalone video on the Gratefullness meditation channel for people to experience this just as a standalone experiment. So what had happened was on my Apocalypse Now channel, I was making a video, and I was talking about transmission so much, the idea came to me to do a 5-minute sitting, where the acting as a conduit for the transmission had come through, so people could experience it. And I didn't think it through, like sometimes I don't. And I didn't think about the implications of people who did feel the transmission and maybe wanted to try the Gratefulness meditation. So I didn't mention that there's a third YouTube channel I have called Gratefulness Meditation. It's linked in all my videos on both channels at the bottom, in the bottom of the video in the description box. There's links to the Gratefulness Meditation. And then there's all these various playlists and introductions to the playlist videos that explain everything you need to know about the meditation, including a video that said that when you go to the channel, it's there for people to watch, that tells you where everything is and what the system's about and all these things. It's always free. So for those of you rare people that can experience a transmission, it's not everybody, it's a small percentage of people. If you feel like it'll benefit you, then you can go to the Gratefulness Meditation channel and get the benefits there. The reason I did the experiment in the first place is I've been talking about transmission for so long, and it's not something you can put into words because it's an experience. And even for me, somebody who's been doing this for over 30 years now, I only feel a transmission when I feel it. The memory of a transmission is not feeling the transmission. It's like when you felt love, when you feel love, the memory of love isn't the feeling of love. You can remember, I felt love one time, it was for this person, or, whatever it might be. But the memory of love is not love. It's the memory of love. It's something mental. Love is experienced in the heart, and transmission, which is God's love, can only be felt in the heart. So I can talk about transmission here quite a bit. And, it sounds almost like pretend or imaginary because it happens on a subtle level, an energetic level. And unless you've experienced it, you don't know it's real. And so the idea came to me in a video to just give everyone a little sample of it. And then I didn't think it through, what happens if somebody feels something or wants to pursue it. And so I, that's why I'm making this video here, or this part of a video, whatever, I already explained all that. And so, for those of you who can experience a transmission, and again, it's not, some days are better than others because you feel, it's hard to settle down the mental noise, or settle down into your heart. And, it's not always the best conditions for you to feel a transmission. Just because you don't feel it this time doesn't mean you can't feel it. It's, it's probably a hit or miss type of thing for people. So I'll do this quite regularly, and maybe, you might not feel it this time, but you'll feel it another time. I mean, even people who have been doing it for years, some days I'm more receptive to feeling it than other days. You could go to a group meditation and people will be blissed out and other people will be restless. And then another group meditation will be the people who felt blissed out the last time feel restless. So it's a hit or miss type thing for some people. Some people have struggle feeling it because of the grossness they have or whatever. And they really are disconnected from their heart and their soul. So it's, again, I can't, it's for each person to experience or not. But if you do experience the transmission, you want to move forward with it, again, the links are in the description box. And so I'm going to say that's all. It's a 10-minute transmission. It's funny because I woke up this morning and the idea came to me to do this today. And the first thing I did was to do the transmission, and I hit the audio button, I thought, but I didn't record it. And the transmission can't be recorded. And so I got done with it, and I realized I hadn't hit the audio button, and then I went through a whole process to think I don't really, since it's not, the transmission is too subtle to be recorded. But then I didn't know how long the transmission lasted, and I went and, did some other things, and I came back and had the idea just to do it again. And it went way better the second time. Like, I'm glad it was good. It was sort of a practice run. It seemed that it went better and longer. And so what you're going to do is, I'm going to say, please begin. And you're going to focus on the supposition of divine light in your heart, or God's love in your heart, or just you have the idea of the transmission, you're feeling it and receiving it in your heart, and you're going to focus on your heart because that's the instrument in which you feel love, and this is God's love. And then it's going to go on for 10 minutes. There's going to be a picture of the sun rising for this whole little video, and then if you've already done this, you're not interested in trying it, you can skip past it. Probably should have said that at the beginning. But anyways, for those of you who are not interested in trying it, then you can skip past it. But if you feel something in your heart, even when I'm talking here, because the beginning of me talking here is the beginning of the experiment in a sense of opening up and building the anticipation, then you might want to, just give it a whirl. But anyways, I'm going to say, please begin. And then at the end, I'll say, that's all. Please begin. Okay, that's all. If you experience ads playing, I can't control that. This is even on my Gratefulness Meditation channel that's not monetized. Sometimes they run ads. So there's nothing I can do about that. For those of you who experience the transmission and like to pursue it, like I said, there's links in the description box of all my videos on, all my channels to the Gratefulness Meditation, or the two channels, Pockets of the Future and Apocalypse Now, to the Gratefulness Meditation. And you can go there and experience the various videos and information there, and the experiential sittings and things there. There's a video series, a playlist that's introduces you. It's 3 sittings on 3 separate days, and then there's other individual sittings, and of course there's a group meditation we do every Sunday, which I will, every Sunday we wake up and meditate for not more than an hour first thing in the morning on Sunday. Those are all things that are available. The videos, I don't make videos for the Sunday meditation, but it's just what people do. And there's videos about that. Also a playlist on my Pockets of the Future channel called the Gratefulness Meditation. And it has information before I made the separate channel. Okay, so this is the end of the experimental video here. Okay, so like I said, those of you who are interested in that, you can pursue that wherever. The links are in the description box. Just to say a few more things about the other stuff in the video with Pete Budajudge and everybody else. The media's gotten ridiculously bad. What they're willing to ignore, what they're willing to cover up, what they're willing to, lie about or deceive about. It's embarrassingly bad. And you have to want to be ignorant of it. You have to want to not see it. Like people who watch this stuff or believe in this stuff, like willfully are doing something so they can't see it, right? Like it's that bad. Like it's gotten that bad where they have to work towards not seeing what's right in front of them. But I'm dealing with the same thing with the heartfulness stuff with Dodgy, all these people who are willfully, and I'm not dealing with it because I don't know the people, they're not in my life, but what I'm seeing there. Willful ignorance, right? It's just being willfully ignorant. That's what this video is about. And, warping your reality for your own personal comfort to such an extent that you're oblivious to what's right in front of you. I mean, it's that bad. It's so bad. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing for people to fall for it. It's embarrassing for the people who put it out there. But idiocracy and lethargy and, just all of the bad things that have happened from the modern day system where people are so weak and so fear-based and so whatever it is, so dependent that this is what we've come down to, right? And this rolling out these, like what they're doing with Budajudge, well, what they're doing is admitting that they have no confidence in Jojo Magoo or Kamala Harris, but they won't say that out loud. Like they're just floating this out there, trying to come up with a solution. And, anybody who sees this knows what's happening, that they're wanting to run this guy because Jojo Magoo is senile and Kamala sucks, right? And, but they won't admit it because all they do is lie and manipulate. And then all of a sudden, Jojo Magoo backs out and they get rid of Kamala whatever way. And that's going to be hard to do because she's not going to want to go willingly, right? She thinks she's next in line and she's not, all of this stuff. So willful ignorance and all the things that people are doing to go along with this and participate in it. Again, we all have to participate. We all have to go along, but at least be aware of the, what's going on here. Like just pretending everything's great when it's not. Anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely born for the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.